All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Super excited to kick off another great webinar to hopefully help you feel prepared for OCI and callbacks that is right around the corner, kind of snuck up on everybody, it feels like. So let's go ahead and get started with some intros. I feel like I know most of you by now, but for those who are a little newer, my name is Ashley Alford and I am the account manager here at Flo, and I'll pass it off to Clues.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to have everyone and welcome everyone to the webinar. My name is Michael Clues. I am the Vice President of Account Management and Customer Success at Flo. Been here for 8 months, so I'm super excited to be here for today's webinar. As we proceed, I'm going to go through a few housekeeping items. One, please use the chat. Seems like quite a few people are chatting away, which is fantastic. Please use the Q&A. So at the bottom of the Zoom, you'll see a Q&A. So these are for questions being asked as we go through the webinar. If there's anything that you feel that you would like a little bit more clarification on or anything like that, feel free to just post it there. We will go through the presentation, ask and pause for some questions. And then of course, at the end, we'll allot some time for some Q&A as well. And then of course, we'll share the recording. It usually comes around about 24 hours after the webinar. So you should see something tomorrow afternoon. As for the agenda, so we're gonna go through a few items. One is product updates. Then we're going to proceed to reminders, tips, and best practices, especially for the upcoming season. Of course, like I mentioned, the Q&A. And then, of course, if you stick around at the end, we've got a new product sneak peek. So super pumped about this. But before we get started, we actually going to ask for a poll. So what are your plans for callbacks this season? So in a few moments, you're going to see something pop up on your end, as specifically around hybrid callbacks, in-person callbacks only, virtual callbacks only, and you're sure not yet decided. So which one is that? Actually, what do you think?
I feel like most of the people I've talked to lately have said hybrid in some capacity. So that's definitely, as the responses are continuing to roll in, that definitely seems to be the case. So we'll give it maybe 10 more seconds or so. It looks like it's starting to level out here.
Yeah, definitely not a surprise on the hybrid side of the world. So fantastic. Thank you, everyone. With that, I'm going to pass the baton to Ashley and talk about product updates.
Yeah, so before we dive into it, just to go over the results of that, hopefully you can see it on your screen, but for everybody, as expected, hybrid callback seems to be the way that most people are going for this callback season. So would love to hear in the chat, specifically how you're navigating that hybrid option. Only a few, about 3% said that you're doing strictly in-person callbacks. Another 32% said virtual callbacks only, and then another 15% said that they are still deciding. So with that, we will go ahead and dive right in to the product updates. Oops, let's see if I can get myself going here. There we are. Okay, so product updates. This is a list of the individual items that we're going to go over. Some of this you may already be aware of and have played around with, but I feel like these are some of the most important updates for you for this upcoming OCI and callback season. So we'll go through each one of these individually. All right, first one, we have an improved video chat preview screen. So the screenshot that you see on the right-hand side is what it actually looks like now. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for not only the interviewers, but also any candidates that are participating and using Flo, make it easier for them to adjust their camera, microphone, and even their speaker settings. They can test their devices here. They can also, just play around with making sure that everything behind them looks good and ready to go before they actually move into their interviews. Next up, along with that, is virtual background. So this has been a heavily requested feature for a long time now. And so we are excited to share that they are here, they are live. As you can see in this screenshot, they're pretty realistic. So hopefully the candidates and even the interviewers are able to utilize them, whether it is an actual background or even just a blur. There are both of those functionalities. So all of that can be tested within the video chat preview screen before they jump into their interviews. So hopefully everybody's excited about that one. Next up, I want to spend some time here, hybrid callback. So this was something that was released roughly at the beginning of the year. And so we've definitely seen some people using this feature already. But what we want to, show you here is what it looks like from a candidate perspective when they are going through the process of registering for their callback time blocks. So the poll results show that majority of people are offering hybrid. How the teams are going about deciding who is coming in person and who is virtual, I think definitely varies. But what we are hearing mostly is that your firms are going to be giving the candidates the opportunity to choose which ones they want. And this is exactly what it would look like from their perspective as they're going through the registration page in Flo Recruit. So we have cool little icons on the right-hand side now to indicate which ones are virtual and which ones are in person. All of that can be set up really easily on your end from an admin side. And you can offer as many or as few options to the candidates as possible. So definitely take a look at this, play around with it. But I think this will be really nice for the candidates to see. Next up, this is another pretty heavily requested feature, was easier access to member feedback links. So where we have implemented it now is once you have created your callback events and you've turned on the feedback questions and have all of those set up, have the candidates added, and then your interviewers, you can now more easily grab the feedback links from either the 3 dots next to the interviewers' names, which I'll move my mouse here is this copy feedback link for Catherine Allen. But then too, another place you can grab it is on the live dashboard. So if you're kind of visualizing the live dashboard, both the interviewers' names and the student names are hyperlinked, so you can click on them. And that is this visual right here that you're looking at. So in this example, I have clicked on Catherine's name on the live dashboard. And what you see now, in addition to being able to copy their video chat link, you can also easily copy their feedback link. So we know that the attorneys typically will misplace those links or emails, or they just don't have time to search for it. So hopefully this functionality makes it a little bit easier on you to grab those links. Next up, we have feedback reminder email. So this is another thing that was requested because obviously we have the feedback, but there previously wasn't the ability for the attorneys to be reminded that they needed to actually complete that feedback. So that is now here and live in the product for your callback interviews. And so in addition to turning on the feedback, you have to turn on that member feedback reminder email. And then if you are hovering over that piece there, you'll get a little tooltip that kind of tells you and outlines the timing of those emails. So one question that we get pretty frequently about this is, can we customize that email? The answer to that is you cannot. It is templated. It's something that we have created for you on the back end, and it will send those emails immediately after the end of their interviews, 3 hours after, and then again 24 hours after if the attorneys have not actually completed that feedback. So hopefully that prompts them to get it done and fill it out for you.
Actually, we got a quick question that just came in. So from Jean, when we offer candidates the choice between virtual or in-person for a certain time slot, is there any way to have time slot availability be responsive to the candidate's selection? For example, if a candidate chooses virtual for time slot A, could we then remove the in-person option availability for time slot A?
In that case, and of course, feel free to chime back in and clarify if I'm not answering this correctly, but once a candidate, I'll just go back, once a candidate chooses one of these options, so let's say if I as a candidate was choosing this 9 a.m. virtual slot, it will then take me to the next page to confirm. So they can only choose one. Once the capacity for a specific time block has been filled by other candidates, it will delete itself from this page so that other candidates can't overbook or anything like that. So I guess short answer to that is you on the admin side can control how many candidates can register for a single time block, regardless of if they're virtual or in person. So hopefully that answers your question, but if you have additional follow-up questions to that, please feel free to put those in the Q&A. Awesome. All right, so then moving right along, the last one here is extended admin access to be able to join as a guest. So another big request that we had was that you as admins, of course, had the ability to go into rooms as needed, maybe to move the interview along if you see them, coming up to time. But previously, once it hit, in this example, 5 p.m. Central Time, that join as guest button would disappear. So you weren't able to jump into the room to tell them that they needed to move it along to keep the schedules on time. You now can do that. So in this example, I have 3 interviews that are still going past the 5 o'clock in time, but those join as guest buttons are still there. So what we've done is extended the accessibility of that join as guest button to 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes past the end time of an interview. So hopefully that allows you to keep the trains running on time a little bit easier, but definitely let us know how that works for you guys once you get to test it out. All right, any other questions, clues, or any other chats that have come in?
At this time, no. So if you do have any questions, please just pop them in at the bottom in the Q&A section.
Absolutely. All right, take it away, Clues.
All right, so we have another poll, and I'll make sure to pause at the end to make sure we go through the results this time. But what are your biggest concerns going into this recruiting season? So is it managing day-to-day logistics, technology in general, managing candidates, managing interviews, COVID, getting help during an event, or if you have any open-ended, feel free to post that as well. But I think it's going to apply for a lot of these for a lot of folks. What do you think, Ashley?
Yeah, as a former recruiter myself, I get that PTSD of the process of managing the interviewer schedules, and that's definitely where I feel like most people's concerns are going to lie. So we'll see how that shakes up. So it looks like responses are still coming in. We'll give it just a little bit more so that people can continue to respond. And it is, select all that apply. You can choose more than one. Okay, it looks like it's leveling out.
Interesting. Managing interviewers. Fantastic. Looks like that's the majority of the one that's popped up over there. Any other takeaways, Ashley?
No, I feel like that's pretty spot on. I know that, of course, there still may be concerns regardless about like technology. I feel like most of the folks that we've worked with or are working with right now have gone through a virtual / hybrid recruiting season, but there's still always that nervousness because it's completely different than what everybody had to do, even a couple of years ago. So I think all of these concerns are valid, and that just emphasizes the fact that you can come to us and like we recognize these things and are going to continue to do whatever we can to help you feel supported and taken care of during this season.
Okay. All righty, I think we can move on to, there's no other questions at this time, so let's move on to the reminders, tips, and best practices.
Awesome. All right, so few bullet points here. We're going to go through the process of once a law school shares the OCI schedules with you, the action items that we recommend that you take there, the process for requesting OCI schedule changes. We'll also go through some basic troubleshooting tips, and then we will talk a little bit about our resource center and the help center. So again, please feel free to ask questions along the way. We'll definitely pause to get those addressed. All right, so first things first, obviously before callbacks, the actual OCIs have to happen. And so some of the things that I really want to hammer home here are that, the law schools, once they create the schedules in their own Flo accounts, and then the emails and things like that go out, that is, of course, easy. They provide everything for you. However, for those of you on this call, you are our employer customers and clients. And so there are additional steps that you need to take in order for that process to be kind of wrapped up and closed out. So first things first, whenever the law school uploads the schedules into Flo, what they do on their end is actually share the event with you. And the process for that is it will send whoever the main recruiter contact is for that employer. It will send them a plain text email, and it will include a link in there telling them that this event has been shared with them. Click here to go through the process of accepting that event. So whether you click on that link or you just go into your Flo Recruit account, that event that was shared with you will show up under this unsubmitted event section that you see here. We have asked the law schools to include the law school name within the event name. So as long as they are doing that, we're still trying to make sure that everybody, follows those best practices on the law school side. For you, it should be easy for you to identify which OCIs have been shared with you without actually having to click into it. So should be right there front and center. Once you see that that event shared into your account, you are going to want to click into it, and it's going to open up the main event page. And from there in the top right corner, you're going to see this event share request modal. And part of that is going to be that you need to accept this event. So click into it, click accept, and then you will see more details become available to you. If you don't go through that process, you can't see the student information, and you also can't actually formally grab the interviewer's link. So do that. The next piece that I really, really want to make sure that everybody is aware of, it is important to, even if you're not going to be sending any emails to your interviewers directly from Flo, it's still really important to add in your interviewers' email addresses. So this process here, once you accept it, it's going to open up and change this box here to review the email addresses. And from there, in this example, you can add in the email addresses for those interviewers. The reason we need you to do that is because once you've gone through these 4 steps successfully, then the interviewer's video chat links will become available to you within your account. So that way you don't have to search for the emails later if they misplace their link and have to re-forward that email to them. You can easily come into your account, copy and paste that link and send it to them. Or kind of what you see in the background of these pictures on this screen is the ability for you to set up emails to your interviewers. That way they are getting communication that they would normally get from the law school, but you can have it go directly to them. Key importance here, if you are also interested in setting up feedback for the OCI candidates that you want your attorneys to fill out as part of this process, you are going to need to make sure that you do have this final schedule email to members turned on. The reason for that is because the emails that come from the law schools do not have any option to include feedback links or anything in there. So if you're setting it up on your end, that final schedule email to members will include the feedback link for them, and that is how they can leave feedback on those candidates.
Actually, there is a question that popped up. Can we change interviewers on our account?
Great question. So that's actually the next slide that we'll go into. Requesting OCI schedule changes. So we know very well that interviewer changes happen, especially last minute. You on the employer admin side don't have the ability to edit anything when it comes to the OCI schedule. So any questions or changes that you need to make about the schedule or on the schedule, especially for interviewers, you do have to contact the law school directly. I think previously there were some folks who would reach out to us to do that, but we would still push you to go contact the law school because it's their event, they're managing their own process, and they are, they want to make sure that they are 100% aware of any and all changes that happen. So definitely go to them because we will not be able to make that change for you, even if it's just the interviewer change. Great question. All right, basic troubleshooting. So long list here, you don't have to write all of these down. We have access for you to find this information pretty quickly, but I'll just go through the basic list here. These are great things for you to pass along to your interviewers or even you as recruiters. If you are the ones participating in any interviews, here are some best practices for you to go through in terms of troubleshooting if you ever have any issues. So first things first, the Google Chrome browser is the preferred browser to use when you are on a Flo Recruit video chat. But most importantly there, make sure that your browser is updated. So I feel like computers these days are pretty good about letting you know when updates are necessary. But part of that, just kind of skipping down a little bit, is to make sure that you are restarting your computer. That oftentimes prompts updates to happen automatically, not just for any browsers or programs that you have on your computer, but also the computer operating system in general. So both of those, updated browser and updated operating system, are two big things that we want to make sure that you and your interviewers are doing before you actually partake in your interviews. Second one is you need to accept your camera and microphone permissions in your browser. So within Flo Recruit, whenever the interviewers are joining those video chat sessions, there are prompts for them to take those steps, but there are also just generally for the computer itself, and especially that browser, make sure that you have given that browser permissions to use Flo Recruit when it comes to those video chat sessions. Third one down is, like I'm doing right now, is wear headphones for the best audio, especially for those that are still like in a hybrid schedule or even working, from home or elsewhere. Majority of the time, it's not uncommon for background noise to happen. So just to avoid any type of echoes or anything else that shouldn't be, that you don't want to be picked up during those interviews, try wearing headphones, especially if they don't start that way. If they're having weird sounds come through, they can always switch to headphones later, but definitely start there if they can. Next one is, I already went over it, but just to reiterate, it's important to restart the computer, make sure that any and all applications that are working potentially behind the scenes are closed out. We just want to make sure that there's nothing that is going to slow your computer down or take away from the connection that you have, especially because these are interviews. We know that it's important. We want to make sure that those run as smoothly as possible. Next one, also, especially for those who are working remotely, is try to sit near your Wi-Fi router or even use an Ethernet cable to connect remotely. We know that, it's with technology and especially Wi-Fi, it's important to make sure that you have that good quality Wi-Fi, or at least are as close to the product that is actually producing that Wi-Fi for you to enable your best high quality interview. So do whatever you can there. Next piece, especially for our interviewers who are taking their interviews from the office, but to working remotely. 9 times out of 10, the attorneys are having to use a VPN in order to connect to their work computer, use the work network and things like that. Best practice when using Flo is to, if possible, to disconnect from the VPN altogether. For some firms, that's not possible. So in that case, I would recommend that either those interviewers, or even better yet, your IT teams, set up a test call with us that is right there on the screen to book a test call. That will set up a call directly with the Flo Recruit team so that we can test their in-office network or even their VPN to see whether we can actually see them and hear them, and if there's anything that the IT teams can work on from their end to allow the connection to come through a little bit better. And on the booking a test call, again, especially for interviewers who have not ever used Flo, maybe they're new to the firm, have never used us, or if they're just really nervous about their network connection, don't be afraid to push them to book a call with us. It can take maybe 15 minutes or so, give or take, if that. And it's just the best way to put their mind at ease while they are preparing for their interviews. And then last but not least, we have the support chat. So I'm sure most of the people on this call are familiar with the support chat. And honestly, especially during the OCI and callback season, when things are busy, it is really, really important for any questions that you have, and especially those where you need a quick, urgent response, use the support chat. So that icon that you see there is exactly what it's going to look like. For you as admins, that icon is going to be in the lower right-hand corner of your Flo Recruit account. That is a direct communication to myself, to my colleague Kristen, sometimes Michael, and other members of our team who are here to help you. And then for the interviewers and also the candidates, when they are in a Flo Recruit video chat room, for them, that support chat button is in the lower left-hand corner of their screen, but it works the same way. They have the same access to our Flo Recruit support. So especially for them, I think it's going to be important for you to just remind them that they should come to us and use that support chat rather than they coming to you and you kind of play that telephone and be that middle person role. It's just easier because we can troubleshoot with them a little bit faster. All right. Next up, we have our Resource Center and our Help Center. So both of these links, of course, you're welcome to write them down. If you ever are needing like step-by-step articles or general tip sheets to send out to your interviewers, the students, even any fellow recruiters, maybe who are a little more new to Flo Recruit, both our Resource Center and our Help Center are the best places to find those things. The first one, our Resource Center, is on our website, and that is going to have even some like training videos, some 1- and 2-page documents, like I said, that you can send to interviewers and students to help them just feel familiar. It even has screenshots in there, so it's not just text, to put them at ease and make sure that they feel prepared. And then the other one is the Help Center. So what's really cool about this, another update that we had, is this Help Center is now actually in your Flo Recruit account as admin. So if you open up your Flo Recruit account, in the very bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there's going to be a help icon. So that is the direct access to what you see on the screen right now. And what's great about it is, especially for you as admins, there are step-by-step articles in here written by members of our team that walk you through the process of setting up events, answers to different questions that have typically come up. It also includes some troubleshooting tips and things like that. So some of the same things that might be on the Resource Center are also in here, but the focus of the Help Center is mostly for you as admins. And as you can see, we have this employer admin section listed there, and those are all tailored to you on the admin side. All right, please, I saw a couple of things come in the chat. Anything relevant there that we need to mention?
No, just Felicia said we have incredible support through the chat functionality during OCI. So yes, I can. It's my first OCI coming up, but I've been manning the support, and it's great to see our customers come through there, and we're able to help them out on the employer front as well as the student front. So please ask any questions in there. But no other questions at this time.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. And just to reiterate on the support chat, don't ever feel afraid or embarrassed or feel like you're asking a dumb question or silly question or too many questions. You're not going to, feel comfortable if you don't ask those questions. So we are here for you. That's the biggest thing that we pride ourselves in is our support. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable and taken care of, especially during this stressful time. So definitely utilize that chat function. Okay, so we are making record-breaking time. We pretty much flew through this, but again, here, want to just take a moment to tell everybody that we are here for you. We know it's stressful, been there, done that with you guys, but it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. So everyone just take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out. We are here for you. You've got this. You can do it. Okay. So with that, I don't see any questions in the Q&A, but if anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to ask them now. Again, there's no right or wrong questions or silly or too many.
There actually is a question that just popped up right now. To confirm, awesome. The support function is in the lower left-hand corner for interviewers and interviewees?
Correct. Yes. So for those actually participating in the interviews, for them within the video chat interface, that button will be in the lower left-hand corner. Whereas for you as the admins, when you're actually logged into your Flo Recruit account and managing the events and the dashboard and things like that, for you, it'll be in the lower right-hand corner. But both of those have the same functionality and access to the Flo Recruit team for questions. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Oh, I think I just saw one more come in.
Another comment, Flo Recruit support is amazing, so helpful and always ready to lend a helping hand or answer any questions. It is like having your private recruiting team. Fantastic. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, again, that's where we put a lot of our effort into. So we're here for you and are glad that you feel that way. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Looks like another question is, what is the average response time for customer chat during the biggest day?
Clues, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I'm super proud of this. So our response rate is the gold standard is anything less than a minute. And right now we're averaging anywhere between 20 and 30 seconds as soon as we get a response. And so in anticipation for the OCI season, we made sure that we're going to have resources on hand to make sure that due to the volume that we'll answer as fast as possible. So we're definitely as prepared as possible, but it should be less than 1 minute to ensure that we get help to you folks.
Yeah, and it's funny, it kind of becomes a little bit of a game internally to make sure that we are responding as fast as possible while still offering the best support that we can. So yeah, it's pretty fast.
Perfect. All right, another question. How will you be informing us of any downtime or outages during OCI?
Great question. So our goal, of course, is to make sure that there aren't any there isn't any downtime and no outages. However, if something were to come up, what we recommend is subscribing to our clues. I can't remember exactly what the term is there, but there's a list that people can subscribe to receive updates. And actually, clues in terms of the notifications within like Flo Recruit and also within the support chat. Can you actually talk through that process and what that looks like?
Yeah, so if this happens, and we're really hoping it doesn't, but if it does, then we'll make sure that there's a pop-up guide saying there is intermittent outages, as well as on the chat functionality, what Ashley was talking about, there's a status. So this is essentially a platform that we subscribe to. As soon as there's an outage, we post on there, as well as that you can subscribe, but we will make sure the notification that, hey, listen, that we're having an outage, we're working on it. Like I mentioned a few moments ago, we definitely have a team around here, not only from a support angle, but also from engineering standpoint to make sure that we have the resources on hand to ensure this does not happen. But if anything does happen, we will be sending out notifications as well as an in-app notification as well.
Yeah, and so what we do internally, not to get too much into the weeds, but if we know it's something that affects specifically callbacks or something like that, we have a process to where we can quickly determine who is actively using whatever part of the platform that may be experiencing an issue. And we do our best to, like Clues mentioned, not only put notifications into the platform internally, but also, you know, whether it's myself or Catherine, anybody on the team to like formally reach out to you via email or even via phone call too, to let you know specifically what's going on. Like we'll keep you posted. But Clues, I don't know if you have access to it, but if not, I can quickly grab it. But I think it might be useful to post in the chat the link to that page where they can actually subscribe to those things. I think that's definitely the fastest way to be notified if you're not actively in the Flo Recruit platform at the time that something, you know, happens that, you know, within Flo. So we'll post that in there.
Yep, I'll definitely will post it in there.
Cool.
Alrighty, there's one more question about, are you doing any stress or load testing? So I'll take that answer to that question. Yes, we are. And so we've already done that. We want to make sure that our platform is as stable and well and above and beyond of what the volume that we're anticipating to ensure that we have a stable environment for the recruiting season. So yes, we have.
Good question. All right. I don't see any other questions, but as more come up, please feel free to throw those in there. Excuse me. So before I go over to the next slide, that is all we have in terms of the general like product updates, tips, trips, and best practices. Again, go to our help center, go to our resource center, or contact us via the support chat to answer any or ask any questions that you might have. Actually, I did just see something come in, Clues, if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, so is there a way to export candidates to Excel for tracking?
Great question. So there is. There's a couple of ways that you can export candidate information. So whether you are just trying to export documents, or if you're trying to export something like feedback, or a combination of the two. Within the candidates page, the fastest way to do that is to either, of course, search for the candidate, or you can even filter by an event that they've participated in. On that candidate page, you select all the candidates that you want to include in your export. And the two options are either export to a bulk PDF, that way everything compiles into one pretty PDF, Or another option is to export to a CSV file, which is pretty much the same as an Excel. That way it puts all of the candidate information and any feedback associated with that candidate into like a spreadsheet type form. So first one again is bulk PDF export. The second one is, I believe it's called export candidate comments, I think is the one that it's called. But short answer, yes, you can export candidate information within Flo. Alrighty,
Great questions.
So yes, great questions. Thank you for all of those. All right, so next slide is to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what we've been working on behind the scenes. So we purposely saved this till the end because we didn't want to take away from the main goal of this webinar today. Some of our customers are already aware or have caught wind of what we've been doing behind the scenes. Some have even started, kind of tinker around with pieces of this. But while, the OCIs and the callbacks are happening, something that we are working on for the future to be fully released by sometime in September. And of course, we'll continue to add on to this new feature is an applicant tracking system. So super excited. This has been a long time coming. Again, some of you may already be aware of this, but we have been working really, really hard. Our engineers have been doing a fantastic job. Our product team, like everybody, has just been, focusing so much on how can we continue to enhance the Flo Recruit product. And naturally, what came next is the ability for you to actually track candidate statuses in Flo. So some of the things that this might include is, like I said, the candidate status tracking. We have things like this, like what you see on the screen, the nice reporting visuals, in addition to being able to export information to something like a CSV file. You also have email correspondence that can be associated with certain statuses. So where that might come in handy is, inviting students to actually register for their callbacks, because we know that right now you are sending those registration links manually outside of Flo. And then another cool thing, among other things that we are including in this, is a self-apply portal. So that way candidates can actually apply through Flo Recruit. And the ultimate goal of all of this is so that you can go through the very beginning to the very end hiring stage of your candidates through Flo. So hopefully the goal there is you're not having to navigate between multiple systems. So we hope you're excited. We will continue to have conversations with people about this. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me directly. And we're definitely happy to set up a meeting to talk through this for those who are interested in learning a little bit more, whether it be for now or later in the future, as you continue to think about ways to continue to use Flo. So we are super excited about this. And that is it, everybody. So again, we kind of flew through that, but hopefully you are going to be able to take advantage of getting 20 minutes back in your day. So thank you again so much for joining us. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. You can reach out to Michael. It's michael.clues@florecruit.com, or myself, Ashley, at florecruit.com. We are here to help you. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful day.